No. Oh no. Hi, thanks for tuning back into the experience. Today I'm going to discuss my personal mental health and an introduction to my shadow work. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions, drop those in the comments and give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Thank you. Let's start. First and foremost, big disclaimer, I am not diagnosed, nor am I self-diagnosing anything. All I know is what I have been able to surmise from what I've seen and heard from others who either are diagnosed or are experienced in mental health. I'm also not a mental health professional in any way, so I definitely wouldn't take anything I say as the be-all end-all of any of this. So please seek professionals' opinions if you are in need of that. And this is just me sharing my experience with any who would like to hear it. I think it's important to mention that the shadow does not necessarily mean the negative aspects of your personality. I think light and dark simply represents the seen and the unseen. There is no positive or negative connotation attached to either light or dark for many reasons, but I think it's beneficial to see the unseen sides of things as equally important to the seen, and to not stigmatize the unseen side as negative. As far as my shadow work, I would also like to say, just as a disclaimer, that I am somewhat intense with my shadow work methods because I have had to develop that as a method of coping as I was growing up and going through life, as a necessity. So this is not for everyone, nor do I recommend it to everyone, because not everyone can process things in the same manner. So I definitely recommend you finding out other methods and trying different methods that resonate with you, and maybe even coming up with some of your own, because that's really the truest help, is something that helps you from you. So this is just an idea giving kind of thing, because this is what I do. I chose to pair shadow work with mental health because they are one and the same for my life and practice. So although shadow work is part of my Wicca journey, it most directly correlates to my mental health journey. So that is why I'm pairing them together. I only do shadow work when it's necessary, or I feel like I can gently take care of small topics, but I don't do it more than I really need to, because it is so draining that it is almost not helpful to do it too much. So I recommend, like, if you are doing some kind of shadow work or just general reflection upon yourself, like introspection, just take some time to rest or recharge after, maybe even a couple of days, just because you don't want to get burnt out. It won't encourage you to keep trying. My shadow work involves mostly just myself, but I do find it helpful and educational to discuss these topics if you're comfortable with people that you're very close to and you feel safe sharing these intimate or vulnerable moments with and thoughts with, because it is very personal. So if you have a significant other or close friend or family member that you feel like you can discuss this with, that is oftentimes really helpful to have someone else who is outside of you to discuss you with in a supportive way. A definition of shadow work to me is the efforts that you're putting in to seeing the parts of yourself that have been either hidden or neglected due to societal pressures or otherwise outside pressures to change or subdue parts of yourself, and can also be a way to facilitate your inner healing My journey, my mental health timeline has been all over the place. I have had lots of experiences, good and bad. I'm going to show you the timeline that I drew, just kind of intuitively. This is my little planner, by the way, as I plan my videos in this. But you can see, it might not focus and that's okay, but you can see it's extremely all over the place. And that's how it is for most. So I just want to say, you know, we all have that in common. For a lot of reasons, when I was young, I did not like myself. I did not respect myself. I did not take care of myself. And so from that, I have now grown and learned how to do all of those things and genuinely celebrate the person I am. Even though I am not done growing or learning, I am compassionate to myself through every part of it. I would like to share with you a quote. Oh my goodness. If you guys can hear that, it's my cat. And I will let him in right now. Baby doctor, come on. Come on, everyone, get in here. Goodness. This is a quote by Steve Wolf. Beneath the social mask we wear every day, we have a hidden shadow side. An impulsive, wounded, sad, or isolated part that we generally try to ignore. The shadow can be a source of emotional richness and vitality, and acknowledging it can be a pathway to healing and an authentic life. So the way shadow work was introduced to me originally was through the work of Carl Jung. I first came upon a quote of his, which then led me to more information and more quotes, and through that I have formed my knowledge of what the shadow is and how I can utilize shadow work and aiding into integrating my shadow into myself. I have a blessing in my shadow work book, which is this. It's an all black cover with black pages, and I use like metallic pens, white pens, and regular black pens if I want it to be kind of even more true to like the unseen side of things. So the blessing in my book is, may all I uncover only bring sight and truth. I shall never lose my fire. I shall keep my space secret. My home shall stay my soul. My mind shall stay at peace. I shall keep my heart safe. I shall never lose my focus. May all I learn bring strength and growth. Little dog! You're making an appearance, little dog. You're a cutie. I have a few examples of shadow work methods. I will list them for you now. I've written letters to myself that also break down the exact source of what I'm feeling through a means of defining the feeling and explaining it to myself from an outsider's perspective. I will add lyrics to my shadow work book. I like to illustrate the lyrics sometimes, or only take the lyrics that pertain to the subject matter, and I'll put them on the page in an artful way while listening to that song generally. Sometimes I just meditate for a while with some calming music and I think about, or not think about, the focus of the shadow work. I utilize art and writing a lot for my shadow work because it is a creative method and I oftentimes feel better after and I like what I've created. I have started to do some inner child work and that's been extremely beneficial for my overall healing journey. So I do recommend doing that if you're in a place where you're comfortable doing that. But I do recommend that you do it in a safe headspace because otherwise it can sometimes become very intense. And a fun, very casual way is I will make a playlist for my shadow work. So when I hear a song and I kind of think like, oh, like that, I really connect to that, I'll add it to my shadow work playlist so then I can revisit it later and add it to my book or something like that. Here I'm showing more examples of what I do in my book. I'll write lyrics out, I'll pinpoint what emotion I'm feeling and why I might be feeling those things, and then on the back I will write myself a letter, so it often looks like that. The front side looks like this and the back will look like this. It's a letter to myself explaining, like, I understand why I feel that way, but you may or may not need that like coping method or personality trait or what have you anymore. I utilize divination for shadow work quite often as well. You'll see I have some of my pendulums listed. This one is only for shadow work. I use a pendulum specifically for shadow work. And then here you'll see tarot spreads. I have a certain deck I use for shadow work, tarot, the end. That sums it up. I want to thank you for watching this video, and please let me know again if there's any topics you'd like me to get into in the future. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have a great time. Bye!